To enjoy this and other great episodes on Patreon, check out the link in the description and subscribe via the Black Kluge tier for full access to over 100 exclusive episodes. For those of you who would like some QF swag on Teepublic, t-shirts, magnets, mugs, what have you, also click on the link in the description.
Oh, well, all these guys are around and they don't do my show. And, you know, I got to be honest with you. I go nuts when I see these guys on Letterman and Jon Stewart, and I see them on these other shows, and it's a non-interview. Now, I didn't see the Letterman one, but I'm sure it was filled with drivel. Oh, my God, look at that. There's Led Zeppelin sitting in those chairs.
Oh, my God.
That's like when I used to go visit my grandpa in the old age home. There were three guys sitting there like that.
Did you ever see...
no, they're going to come in here. Danny thinks they're going to come in here.
Now they're going to promote.
Did you ever see the picture of Robert Plant? You know, he was up at the station about 2 years ago. Kingston took a picture with him.
Yeah.
And Kingston put it on his door. Did you ever see it?
No.
It looks like Robert Plant ran out of money halfway through the operation to become a woman.
I don't know. Was there any substance to the interview?
No, it was very boring.
Right.
He was fawning over them, and they weren't giving answers.
You know, I got to tell you, I know Dave just got the Kennedy Center honors. If there was a God, I'd have the Kennedy Center honor because I get a hold of people and I ask them questions.
So Danny Bush said, come on over, meet Led Zeppelin. They're all going to be together. It's very rare, very rare. So I was like...
That's a good Danny Bush.
And he goes, and the guys are thinking of coming on your show.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like... I go, okay. I said, you know, I'm not even sure I want to meet those idiots.
I'm a huge rock fan. I have a huge amount of knowledge about rock. I'm a rock DJ.
You know what's a bullshit line I used to look at from publicists that makes me crazy? And I used to get it back in the day.
Yeah.
He's not doing radio.
Yeah, he's lucky to have gotten away with it.
Yeah, listen to this loon, and his shirt's open, and you know what? And his chest wasn't even that good that he had his shirt open.
I didn't think the shirt open.
Just prancing around like a fruit.
I know, all those rags he was wearing.
Please.
Because I'll tell you why, you're lazy motherfuckers. When you were out on the road and Led Zeppelin was a band just starting, and you were busy ripping off these black guys, these motherfuckers. The guys who were my heroes. You know what? I spent more years at radio stations promoting the careers of these guys.
It's just a sprinkling for the May Queen.
What a bunch of
that is.
fruits.
Well, I'm excited, as I said earlier this morning. Here he is, a rock god. Now, you know, do you think Jimmy Page was the great love of your life? Now, seriously.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to QF, a podcast about Howard Stern. This is Late Night. I am Allison Steele, the Nightbird, not Fillmore, because it's my night for a change. When I record with James, he's the morning, what do you call the early bird, and I'm the night owl for this particular segment. How's it going, sir?
Today I'm going by Captain Sack. I'm going to take the moniker of Sal, and I'll just be Captain Sack for this episode.
Well, you're not going to have to play Guess What's in Our Pouch for this episode, guys, because we're doing part 2 of How's Guest. Part 1 is due out this coming Sunday. It's going to be a Sunday episode. And because it's so visual, and anytime we have stuff like this, I generally want it to be Sunday episodes because it's always more fun when there's something visual to watch, hence, you know, YouTube and stuff. So we're going to continue and with part 2 right now.
Like I've many years, you know, pined for women. And I go,
Right.
Why is she with him and not me?
But I'm telling you, I've
Because he's straight.
Is she really going out with him?
heard this before in this office, and I have never understood why it's so important, to the point that they start, because Dominic has done it. Dominic used to run down Ralph all the time. He couldn't understand why you were close to Ralph and not him.
I buy steak for $12.
Stuttering John used to do it. Why those guys? I want to be his friend so
I know,
much.
and I'm the biggest bore on the planet.
Well, the other thing is
Okay, I like the fact that Robin first said, they can't figure out why you're friends with Ralph. Before she mentioned about, why is he your best friend or your bestie and we can't get in? And okay, this is basically, look, I know the staff were not QF before QF, but couldn't they suss a few things out after that Goo Goo Dolls gay dance party?
But remember, he wasn't the only one. Sal was the only one that would go through this. Like they mentioned, John did it. That Dominic himself would ask these questions. It always was boggle their mind to figure out why he had this friendship with Ralph. And I think even to this day, people are still questioning it because it's such a random person to be friends with, especially how they met, how he came on board, being a listener and sending in his resume and his work when he was trying out to do special effects, which I'm still waiting to see what special effects he did. Whatever the hell he did on the Channel 9 show was dreadful. I've seen seventh graders do better special effects than he did during that time.
Yeah. Well, so you can't go you can't go from the angle of, well, he's holding on to Ralph because he's such a talent.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. There was something there that I figured that it alludes to where we have been saying for the longest time that maybe there's a little bit more Hank than Pank going on in there.
Give me 1 sec. Let me reduce this and get my thing up there because we might need a few sound clips for this just for the sake of argument. Let me see what I got here. Hold on.
But I don't mean it in that sense. The good Lord has blessed you and your family and your lovely wife. And thank you so much, Bert. Bert is lonely.
I think Howard is lonely. If I had to really, hazard a guess what the story is, I don't know that. I don't know that it should be such a mystery unless he really was less social than even we think during those what do you call it, mad tear years. Like if he just goes with Ralph to, let's say, Nobu, right? And then he might go and meet, and then they heard that Ross Zapin and so are at some club, which is a standard club in New York City in that era, and they only see him for like windows of time during a night. Like if you see him throughout the day, if you spent time with him and Ralph throughout the day, I think you'd figure it out. If obviously if you were a fly on the wall, but even if you were in their company, I think you could see little signs of, oh, this is two lovers, congregating together. But I think if you only saw them for a couple hours or, maybe, it's a couple, like 90 minutes over a dinner, it wouldn't be that easy to see.
Well, the other thing is that I believe they have like a significant age difference. So
massive. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much 11. If I'm looking at his age now, it's 11 years. So
yeah, it's more than a generation.
Right. So that's what really probably threw people off on that gap of well, what do they have in common? And we'll come to find out that they have a lot in common because they both into the same daintier things.
The daintier things in life.
The more daintier things in life. Bachelor.
They have very common interests. The Pussycat Theaters. Oh my Lord!
These things have to happen organically. You can't engineer them.
They just happen.
And that's why I just happened to send you out an email request. You're putting a spin on this.
Yeah, I know. I'm putting a spin on it.
See, the whole wackiness for me is, okay, he did it, et cetera, that even now he refuses to recognize that it might have been odd behavior.
It's odd.
He's hearing that it's odd from everyone. There's no one who is agreeing with him, and he's still holding this argument.
I'm not. Hey, Vinny, you're on the air.
Howard, I think it's time to drop this guy. Sal, I can't believe this. He used to call me, Howard, all the time before he started working there, saying, "Hey, what does Howard think of me? What does the show think of me?"
Vinny? Calling Vinny? First of all, how does Sal get Vinny's number?
Well, they all had a small network. It was the Whack Pack, and then there was this like outside entity of the Sals, the Vinnies,
But hold on. Sal was just a caller before he went in for get John's job. He didn't really have an in.
But remember, he also had connections because he was also Sal was also trying to get into stand up. He later when we found out about the comedy coach that he got.
I love that clip.
He knew him because he he worked at CBS as well. The guy who's the comedy coach.
Okay.
There was like there was an all outside whack pack, underground railroad between all these underground wig road, if you want to say. But
yeah.
They all networked with each other. Was the Ivy Supersonic? They all had this old thing outside of the whack pack. It was something else.
Well, however he managed to get it, I mean, he through hook or crook. I guess if he got in touch with, Vinny has no reason to lie about this,
right? No, but
that's creepy as fuck. I mean, that really is. How's that different from him asking for trying to get Ace Frehley's number?
This is what I'm saying. It's like this is why I've been saying it for the past conversations that we've been having about Sal. He's a very interesting. Disturbed, confused, naive individual, but I'm fascinated every time I would always be fascinated by this because it's like where would you and why would you make these connections?
I don't think, and this is just for all the QFers, I'd like to hear you guys' opinions on this. I don't think Sal is necessarily an evil person or a bad guy, so to speak. I think he's like I think he was raised by a complete fucking sadistic ignoramus of a father, and in a household that didn't value brains apparently, and he's dumb. Like, he's not intelligent, Sal. I'm sorry. I don't care if he passes a series 7 or something. I really don't. He's not intelligent.
And he's very immature. That's what it was also. He was very, very immature. And the other reason why he had connections also is because he was a stockbroker. So he was connecting with all these people with stock trading.
It might have been Stuttering John, because Stuttering John was getting all kinds of inside whatever deals back in the day. And they used to talk about it in very cryptically on the show about how John made like certain investments that paid off really quickly. And then, as we all know, like it was, really was the Wolf of Wall Street for a while there.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe Sal was part of that connection.
Right. I said he reminds me of that movie Boiler Room with Vin Diesel and they're all making up these stocks, and people to this day they ask how he passed the Series 7 test, because they said he's a moron.
I mean, if he memorized, memorization is not necessarily intelligence. So I guess if he crammed really hard, he could. But from what people have said, it is difficult. It isn't something that you can just wing it. At any rate, I'd like to hear the QFers' takes on Sal. I know Len, for example, hates Sal, like just really fucking, just does not like him. And I don't think he has a vehement, sort of loathing for him, but. When Sal went into his comedy bits, they were so disgustingly racist that you laughed. At least I did. I laughed because of how awful they were, but I was also kind of cringing because, Jesus, you couldn't get away with that in 2004, let alone 2023.
Well, he curves into it.
Yeah.
When it comes to that stuff so comfortably, like it just. It's not as though like someone is like dancing on that line. It's almost as though like he's doing it for a long time. Like
he's ass fucking that line.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a long. He's very, very aware of it for a long time.
You got it.
This guy was stalking me, and now he throws me under the bus. Sal,
you are the bus, you fat slob.
Sal, you're a scumbag, man. You used to be my friend. You used to call all the time. You don't call anymore. You got in now.
Vinny's
you're up to level 2,
He's totally sticking it up.
Drop.
He calls me almost once a week for lunch and compliments me on the bits.
Sal, I call
you're
you
a liar,
once
Vinny. Stop it. Be
Sal,
for real
I call
for
you
once.
once a week for lunch.
Vinny, you don't understand. Sal wants to take my relationship with him to the next level.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Vinny, why would you do
I'm
that?
lubing up right now.
You're blowing a great opportunity.
I'm not blowing anything.
You are. You're being an idiot.
If he's lucky, he'll be blowing Howard before long. Jesus. But did you notice that, like, Vinny goes, yeah, I took you out once, and Sal mentioned, oh, he took me out a couple of times, whatever. So with all these guys, hyperbole is part of the job. Bullshit is a major part of the job. And certainly if you're working for Howard, you must have like at least a master's thesis in fucking horse shit. But and there's a clip that I'd like you and I to fucking take this one, because it's involves. It's a wrap-up show clip in which Sal, they discuss. We don't need to do the original clip on the show to discuss the wrap-up show clip. We can just go straight into it. Sal disparages Stuttering John long after Stuttering John is off the show, and they all give him shit like, you really, if you called Stuttering John a friend, but you really threw him under the bus there to appease Howard. And then Ralph calls in and they start this back and forth about how John should have left and how, he didn't do it the right way. And Artie's going at Ralph. It's a great clip. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go through it because it gives more insight into how easily these people will fucking backstab each other when given a chance.
They're crabs in a barrel. And this is what that's how that whole network came together. When once the Jackie chair became available, Vinny sat in that chair. Everyone threw their hat in the ring to get into that chair. Sal would he would ask if he could come in, and right after that's when John left and they did the whole get John's job contest and such. But they were all networking behind the scenes to find a way to get onto the show.
Yeah, up that ladder somehow.
Yeah,
through hook or crook.
Troy, you're on the air.
Especially crook.
Yeah, but Howard, I'm going to need a feather pillow, no foam, and a wake-up call.
Where do you live, Troy?
I live way out in Seattle.
When are you coming to New York?
I'm going to be there tomorrow. So Sal, between you and me, buddy.
So if Sal's there tonight, can you take tomorrow night?
Well, maybe I can stay with Robin. How about that?
You know what? If Sal's going to stay another night, I guess I'll put you up.
Well, one thing everybody missed, though, is on his idiotic rant, here he ridicules Richard for not changing his sheets, assuming that he would be able to sleep in Richard's bed anyways.
Right.
This guy's a freaking nut.
He's nuts. He's nuts.
This was the early days before they became the lovers. So Richard and Sal were at war for the job, and then Richard wins. Sal gets in through the back door, or someone's back door, and they're still at odds because he goes off on a rant later on in another episode, which is hilarious, when he calls Richard a serial killer.
There's a couple they're all in the same bracket of time, like 2005, I think. And it was really early on. And then Richard comes in and like, I worry about you, man. Like Sal's crazy. He gets so angry sometimes. I remember that one. And I also remember when they made a joke like they were gonna invite, like Richard was invited to someone's wedding, but Sal wasn't. So they acted like Richard was. So they brought him in to talk about it. I think it might have been like Ross Zapin's wedding or something.
Ross Zapin's wedding, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great one to cover because Sal, they tried to convince him that, and he comes in. Why would he invite Richard? I got no problem with Richard, but why not me?
Oh no! The great one was when they convinced Sal that Richard was dating Beth's cousin.
Oh, I don't remember that one. I have to listen to it.
I'll look for that one as well. That is, I sometimes had felt when listening to Sal that I might be being played here because maybe this is set up. Maybe this is a bit.
Yeah,
but after a while, you start getting. He goes, no, he didn't go to Lee Strasberg school. He's not Olivier. He can't be. He's not that good to make this go over. No, he's really a moron.
Well, I mean, there's the stuff that we know obviously is set up as, of course, the phony phone calls, and then later on some of the closer you get to present day, the more phony bullshit you're going to hear from those guys. But the really, I guess, the zenith of Richard and Sal were those first 2 and 3 years. And even actually right before Richard got the job, the stuff he submitted might be way better than anything he did on the show.
Yeah, yeah. Either early days with KC songs and all that stuff. Yeah, that was a killer. But with Sal, it was, he was the one trick pony. Everything was Gary, horseshoe jackass, and he really had to, make his play in there, or else and mind you, they were ready to go to satellite, and he already had seen HR maybe twice before they were to go. This is why I said he's very immature, and I think it still lingers with him to this day.
But you don't think it was like a play? He played it up for the purposes of the show. It was literally him not not understanding where he was, not understanding the certain interactions, human interactions.
No. The one thing that I study Sal. Like I've studied. What he did is that he was able to play the game with them early on, like in 95, 96, 97. He was able to play the game where he would come in with the Gary jokes, the calls, or he'll come in promoting that he's part of a band or something. And what he would do is, I remember distinctly, if I could find the videos, he would have callers call in to say how great he was. And there was this one caller in particular, and every time she would call, a female, I would go, wow, that voice sounds familiar. Comes to find out that was Christine. It was his wife that was calling to back him up. So he can.
Of course.
Yeah. So he knew how to play. He was little by little manipulating his way to get on the show permanently. And like he said, he's trying to get closer and closer to Wig, and he's gotten far, gotten that far.
Right. One arm's like down near his crotch, and the other one is behind the couch with an ice pick in it.
Dude, Troy, Richard offered for me to sleep in his bed with him last night. Believe me, I said no. He wanted me to sleep with him.
Why not? If it was me, you'd sleep in my bed.
Right. You have a big bed. You're a tall guy.
Oh, my God, you're a homo. Bongo, you're on the air.
You're a tall guy.
Yeah, I mean, God damn, you're weird.
Do you have a custom-made bed?
Do I have a custom-made bed? Well, I would never even tell you one thing about what I have.
Yeah, why are you asking
insulting.
these things?
So insulting. You're odd. I don't want you in my
I'm opening
apartment.
up to you. You open up to me.
No.
All right.
I don't want to open up to you.
You know what?
It's give and take.
That's gay.
He's not kidding. This is legit.
Yes.
He's really trying to work this so much that it is bordering on taxi driver kind of like levels of insanity.
like when De Niro's character takes Jodie Foster takes Sybil Shepherd to the porn.
Yeah, and look who's been known to frequent the
booths.
The booths.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think again when he got in, because he built it up for so long, and he did manage to get there. To give him credit, he managed to get on the show. I think he put too much behind it, and as my father-in-law would say, he put way too much stock in Howard, and decided like once he got there, it's like fucking boom, we're like, I'm here. I think we mentioned this in the first episode. So he got carried away with the idea that this is, anything goes, fuck the FCC. I can use the N-word. I can drop, I can make a song, a Michael Jackson song using the N-word constantly, and it'll be acceptable because it's the Howard Stern show, not understanding that even within that sort of that den of chaos, there had to be a little bit of order.
I mean, even the bit that he did when he was goofing on the governor of New York at the time, Patterson, who was a black man who was blind, and he did the most
racist
minstrel, racist voice. I mean, and it's not him like doing it ironically. That's what he really believes black people sound like. That's what he.
You know what it was? He learned from Stern, who was the most rudimentary, shitty purveyor of comedy, as we just fucking released the 2 episodes of him judging comics. And like, the people he said, oh, this guy's a genius. This guy's like some things we agreed with. But for the most part, Howard's like poopy caca. That's his level.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dress and drag, poopy caca, dick, hug, kiss, fart, show my asshole, show this, show nudes, like the kind of things that you would find funny as a 9-year-old not quite knowing what the dick is for.
Yeah, and like you said, he followed through that whole template that was there. Give Rodney a chance.
Yeah, of course.
Chance.
Oh fuck yeah.
Like he's gonna make you his friend whether you want it or not.
Yeah, he's gonna tie me up and keep me.
Yeah, I'd be very careful if
Dude,
I
had a tough upbringing.
Watch King of Comedy.
You were a father figure to me, and you don't get it.
Watch the King of Comedy.
Why should he get it? He wasn't listening. He didn't know you were listening.
You should get cancer. The King of Comedy is a great film. Actually, it's underrated as far as Scorsese's films go. And you want to talk stalkers? That's a great film.
Definitely.
Don't you know why I'm here? It's not about the comedy. Oh boy!
Get out
I didn't
there.
mean that. Wait.
What's it about?
What's it about?
It's about
You love me.
Oh boy.
I love you, but I love you like your fans love you. But I also,
Oh my God.
I admire you, respect you, and I look at you in a different light. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just digging a deeper hole.
Don't open up anymore. Really.
Yeah, because it gets scarier.
I walked in the hallway and I heard somebody almost, my God, it's like that movie Misery.
I know.
I know. I'm telling you.
It reminds me of not one of his better movies, but I actually enjoyed his performance in it. De Niro in the movie The Fan.
Yeah, with Wesley Snipes.
Was
it Tony Scott?
Yes, it's a Tony Scott movie with Bobby Rayburn. He was going. He knows how to play that really dark, centralized kind of figure who knows how to focus on this one individual. And Sal is like, I don't know. He seems to be balancing that line here as well. Like it's like how they say later on, like, I don't think that he'll do anything violent, but you don't quite know if it could have gone that way.
I think Sal is the kind of person who mentally and emotionally at this stage in his life, and maybe if you also consider, guys, he was a stockbroker making all kinds of money. He took a massive pay cut to work for that show, but I think it was forced upon him. I don't think it was one of those things where, I think the stock market shit dried out, and he had no choice but to kind of do something else.
Yeah, there was even Gary had alluded to it earlier on when he was doing the Get Jobs Job thing, that he wasn't even at a brokerage anymore, that he was actually freelancing and doing stock trades from home.
Well, there you go. So he was probably struggling to make ends meet. And so when you add the pressure of the economics of his situation, 3 young kids and a wife who, as far as I know, is not working because they were all young kids. She was probably, she was a homemaker and busting his balls, no less. But he deserved a lot of it. I mean, I was always team Christine, actually, even though she seemed a little annoying. But I thought if you had to deal with Sal and 3 kids, yeah, I think you would be a little bit more of a fucking taskmaster.
Oh, and those are other great videos and audio as well. And she called in to rip Ralph a new asshole and said, why is Ralph dressed like fruit? She didn't say it, but she intimated he dressed you like an idiot. I love her. I actually follow her on Facebook.
Oh, she's on Facebook?
Oh yeah, and it's her. I love her.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Scares me.
Dude, don't be scared.
I'm being serious.
No one here is safe.
Don't break your leg around this guy.
I don't think you're really aware of how much of this kind of talk happens behind your back in terms of how many people analyze your friends and why would he hang out with someone like that when
I told you
seemingly more normal or seemingly nicer guy than this person.
But
these conversations go on around here all the time.
You know what, but Howard, as your friend, so to speak, I address it to you.
Your friend.
I'm honest and open.
You're my friend. You're not my friend.
All right, good.
And so this is an amazing. Thank God for Lewis, because what he's driving at, I believe, I'm learned enough in the Stern verse to figure out. He's talking, I think, more about like the Richie Wilsons and the Doug Goodsteins and the Tower TV, or whoever they're going to be, Howard TV eventually. But the video crew all saying, like, look at these assholes that Howard hangs out with. They're all dirtbags. Ross Zapin, Ralph, Dominic, they're all like, there's all like this tenuous, and Richie Notar, who was a busboy at Studio 54, I'm sure he's got some blood on his fingernails somewhere. Like there's, and they're saying like everything's, it's always they're always, what's the transactional relationships with people.
Yeah. It's more, like we said, it's more, it's more, it should be more, why would they want to hang out with him? I mean, I understand the benefits of, possible connections that he has and such, but like he mentioned earlier, he's a bore. Like he doesn't do anything. He's not a fun guy. Once he got divorced, he had his run like to make it feel as though make it look as though, hey, look at me. I'm out here. I'm this free love. And we realized that even Robin called it out on him. It's like, you're not going to be like this forever. You're going to find somebody and you're going to stick to them like a barnacle.
Right. And he refused it for so long that if we made a saga of it, it would make 15 Foundation look like, a fucking Robert Smigel short from SNL. Like TV's Funhouse. But him and Ralph were the unambiguously gay duo. And they, with like, you could see them wanting to be friends with him just for the idea of touching the hem of the garment, like the rich fucking, and also being fans. Fandom will blind you to that person's foibles and stuff. And so, but with him wanting to be friends with these other people, look at, what does he get from Ralph? Well, we know what he gets: rim jobs. What does he get from Dominic? Some kind of, Dominic hobnobs with famous clients, whatever. Maybe he allows Dominic because Dominic will treat him to stuff, so he doesn't have to fucking pay for anything. Right. Then Richie Notar, same shit. Nobu. Nobu had an eternal plug on the Howard Stern show. The Stern show should have been called the Nobu show. And then, so it's all transactional on every level. And then you start looking at it and you go, so you really are just a piece of shit that just uses people.
And Ross was Gary's friend firsthand, and then transitioned Wiggy's gang bang leader or whatever.
I think before that, yeah, he was connected to Gary, so he knew him through Gary. And who was it Booker that was dating Linda Lopez?
Linda Lopez, yeah.
So they would party with Howard, but it would be that whole record company gangbang type thing. It would be, like, let's see what we can get from record company. In other words, can we get guests from these people? That was the connection to Ross.
Right.
And free tickets for Bowie.
Because he had to see the boss, had to see Bruce.
Yeah, he had to be entertained. It's Thursday. I'm not doing anything. Give me a concert, Ross. Any concert. Who's playing? Fucking what's her name? Petula Clark. She's playing at the Garden. Give me tickets. So.
Why do you feel obligated to say I'm not your friend?
Because you're not.
Does that make you feel better?
Because you're the one bringing this stuff up and talking about you want to be drinking beers and cooking for me and laying in my bed. Dude, we're not friends.
All right, good.
That's it.
You work for the guy.
Ronnie, keep an eye on him.
Dude, you know how he always asks me for advice out there?
Me? Yeah, see? I tried to do the right thing and ask Ronnie for advice.
Take my advice. You better drop this whole thing or you'll be out of here. I'm telling you. What's wrong with you, man?
That's good.
You're sick.
I am so intimidated right now.
No, I'm not trying to be. No, I'm not even talking about that. You're gonna push him to the point where he's gonna tell you to get out.
Yeah, you get me making me nervous.
Am I?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm nervous.
And the second thing, Sal, every time it snows, Howard always asks me, "Listen, man, if you don't feel like going home, you can stay at my apartment." Just so you know.
Yeah.
Oh, why'd you have to throw that?
Gotta love Ronnie. He knows how to dig the needle in just a little bit.
And Ronnie's fascinating too, but I was more annoyed by Ronnie than anything. But the one thing I could say, he's immature as well, except for when he's wearing Mambo for the mature man. But he's immature as well. But at least he's set. He had a game plan. He had a truck business. He got into the limo business. He was set. But whenever you hear him speak, or even when he argues, he doesn't even know how to articulate properly. He's another.
No, Ronnie didn't go to finishing school by any means.
Exactly right.
But he did. But one thing I know a lot of people found him annoying and still do, and I don't blame them. I mean, listen to those. Let's fuck some whores. I mean, like this is not a person you bring to home to see mom, but he's a man's man. The wedding pictures came. I'm sure you saw some of them on Facebook, whatever, and Doug Goodstein's write up.
Right.
And he's a man's man. I've always respected him for being loyal and being knowing when to be a mensch about certain things. Like when according to Richie, and even actually Ronnie, I mean, they said you're not supposed to hang out with like Richie will. You're not supposed to see ex-staffers, and he said no. Richie's my friend, Richie Wilson. So I'm hanging out with him whenever I want. We don't discuss work. That's the kind of thing. When certain people, like certain events happen, certain things that people might need some help, Ronnie's probably the first one to offer a hand. When KC came back that one time, you remember that one awful fucking video that, you know, he's all fucked, clearly like in between binges of vodka or whatever fucking booze he's drinking. He looks horrible. And Bowie's like, should we put him on the air? Are we doing any favors to him? And oh, he's just an asshole. Ronnie was the one person that wanted to talk to him and clearly looked disturbed at KC's state, but Gary didn't give a fuck.
Right.
You could tell. So that's why I like Ronnie. Not because he's Mr. Charm School.
So you mean you didn't even like the Ronnie's sexual tips?
God, Jesus, yeah. When you start talking about his arsehole, that's when I literally trip over the power cord accidentally on purpose to make sure the computer just dies. No shutdown.
Get it, Ronnie.
Oh, Ronnie's my friend.
He's just rubbing it in.
Ronnie's your friend, and I'm not. But Howard, can I ask Sal a question?
Yeah, Ronnie's my friend.
Here's a question. When you say that you and Howard are friends, I mean, I know you'd like it to be that way, but seriously,
what does that mean?
What's the evidence of a friendship? In other words, you work here, we all get along well. Outside of here, what's the evidence of any kind of a friendship?
You know, once in a while we have slight chatter. I don't know.
Slight chatter is a friendship?
I'm trying to develop something here. Am I so guilty of developing something with a guy that I admire?
It's okay.
That's so wrong.
Yes.
All right, fine. I've learned my lesson. If we worked on a construction site and you were my foreman, I would sleep at your place and it wouldn't be a big deal.
No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, sure I would.
No.
You're thinking just because he's in this situation and you're working together and he's avoiding
I don't
you,
like to sleep with anyone from work. I don't care what I'm doing.
He's not going to do this with you.
Just Ralph. Sorry, gotta throw that in. This is the thing we talked about in the first episode. Just because you work with people really closely, you know, in a blue collar situation, like you said, you don't necessarily want to have them at your house unless. If you're best friends, you work together. It happens to be that way. Different story. Like if you knew each other beforehand, but on the job, there's usually most people keep a very good separation between friends and work.
Yeah, and you know if you had like job functions or if you invited them to possible events. Hell, Stuttering John was in the doghouse for years. Because Wiggy didn't invite him to his daughter's bat mitzvah, so and he held a grudge for that for the longest time. And Howard told him, he said, "You weren't part of that circle." He says, "In fact, if who I really wanted would it have just been Robin, because she was more involved with the kids. But I invited my closer people." Sal wants to feel as though that he could. Like
instantly,
wiggle his way that quickly into Wiggy's throne, and it's not happening at this moment.
He wants to expedite the process. He wants them to be best friends yesterday.
Yeah, he wants to go to the express line. Really,
he's elbowing people out of the way.
Yeah,
I don't want to be with you.
All right, I'm sorry.
He's seen enough of you.
All right, good.
I see enough of you here.
Good.
You're psychotic.
Who else do you have this hankering to hang out with?
Certainly not you, Robin.
No, tell me, who else? It's because he's Howard.
Yeah, and that's what's sickening.
You work for this dude.
You worked for this.
It's your fault.
Oh.
It's your fault for being famous.
Hey, you got to see a psychiatrist. I'm not kidding. Look at me.
No, honestly.
You got to go to a psychiatrist.
In order to get back in here.
I worked for this. This isn't what I worked for. You don't know anything.
I love the OJ mask just behind Sal.
Give it and just staring at him down like, really, man.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it happens. Well, so okay, we're not going to keep stopping at this quickly, this often, guys. There's you need to see a psychiatrist. That's it. You know what, Howard? I'll take that from just about anybody else except you.
Yeah, exactly. But I love when you hear Artie chime in. It's the best part because Artie's like, no, we're really dealing with something wrong here.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when they had they were in more danger though when they had KC in there for a while, especially given his economic situation and his gambling problem and then drinking ostensibly as well, which just got worse. And then when it culminated in a really bad, situation where he mutilated himself basically. And then
come on, who else have not ever bled on a Bible? I mean, come on. We've all put on the demo of the live version of entrails ripped from a virgin's cunt and danced around with a razor blade and sliced ourselves up like a Virginia ham. But who danced around in a torn up skirt listening to Lamb of God? Like, come on.
Should I play Q Lazarus right now? So like that was a situation, especially you remember we covered that briefly, that the blow up of KC, and it's too bad we didn't cover the whole thing. We probably should at some point. The way they treated KC, not understanding that he was extremely like a powder keg ready to go off, like that shows you have to color the Hank thing with Artie with KC in the same sort of group, except that Hank was not a regular.
Right, they were all enabled.
But enabled, and also like they're way too close to people that they shouldn't be that close to in that situation. Now, already, mind you, he was only hurting himself, and same with KC. But if KC went nuts in that environment, what was Ronnie gonna do?
Can you take him down?
Yeah, taser him. My favorite was Stuttering John came in and goes, "I could take Ronnie." They were all talking about who could Ronnie beat up.
About me.
You
don't know what I've worked for. You don't know anything about me, Sal.
I'm sorry that I asked for your help to sleep over.
It's more
it wasn't
than that.
about help because you didn't need help that bad.
That's right.
All right, whatever. You don't want to be my friend.
Danny, that's right.
Friend.
I don't.
All right, good.
Hello?
Danny, you're on the air.
All right. Yeah, Howard?
Yes.
Oh, this guy's nuts. He's going to do you like David Spade's bodyguard.
Really?
Oh, worse.
The taser.
People, let me tell you about my best friend.
And I think this might have stemmed, Howard, when you brought him out to dinner to talk with him and Richard.
Yeah, I made a
he
mistake.
probably brought it to the next level. He thinks you're like Dominic.
Yeah, I made a
you're not on
mistake.
Dominic's level there, Sal.
But Howard, you took two people out to dinner, and one person got this out of it, and the other person didn't.
Yeah, Richard Christie turns out to be the normal guy.
Yeah, he's the normal. He knows not to step over the line.
Don't say that
Hey,
to
Howard,
Sal.
you want to
Makes
give
him
me keys
crazy.
to your Hamptons place?
Well, Richard's a good guy, man.
No, that makes,
I would let Richard sleep over my apartment anytime.
Good. Let him stay there tonight.
No.
Good.
Richard, if you want to stay over tonight, that's cool.
You know what? Here's what you do. Sal, you take Richard's apartment. Richard will stay with Howard.
Man, I must be an awful person for you guys to do this to
No,
me. I don't know.
you're mentally ill.
Don't let Richard stay over because Sal will kill him.
I knew you were mentally ill when Ace Frehley was on, and you were.
That was scary.
Well, Ace, besides you, was the second guy I looked up to.
Yeah.
It's such a funny guy to.
Well, Paul Stanley and Howard Stern have a lot in common, as we know now. So,
but just hearing Artie laugh in the back, it's just like it makes you realize, like, yeah, this guy's fucking nuts. Like,
yeah, and this is in this company, with Artie, Robin, and Howard in the room, Sal's the nutty one.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus H.
To be in love with, too.
Maybe Howard will give you keys to his Hamptons place. Maybe you want to do that, too.
Yeah, we
you
could
got to
stay
know
there.
not to step over the line, man. You're delusional.
Yeah, what about the Hamptons place? You do invite, I'm just talking to you now.
Okay.
You do invite a lot of people out there. There's a lot of room. There's a huge beach. You have a barbecue or something?
You will never, ever
right.
be invited to my home.
Thank you again. I feel better.
I never want you near me. I don't even want you in the studio
Yeah,
anymore.
he doesn't want you to know where.
Hey, Sal, you just work for the show, man. That's it.
Sal
You're not
Bobo.
going to go out there for, burgers.
Sal Bobo thinks you're nuts.
I'm telling you. I know that. I know if I came there, I would just do my job and go home. I wouldn't ask the guy to sit by
Bobo
his
wears
house.
a giant raccoon on his head, and he thinks
Hey, you
you're
know
crazy.
what?
He crazy glues a squirrel to his forehead, and he's
Hey, you know what? I got some brains, though, man. I'd be on that show. I just do my job. I wouldn't ask him, somebody stay over your house this week.
I just needed a place to stay, Bobo. That's all I needed.
Because I know Wolfie, the scuttlebutt is that Wolfie is related to Will.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And that would make perfect sense if that's the case. And then, why certain ties into the, into the show. Right. I know that Howard's cousin did the awful B-ceuticals shit when he used to advertise. It was Howard's cousin. So he'll take money from anybody.
And Sal bought every packet that came out just so he could get closer to Wiggy. Oh, that's another clip when when Wiggy's nephew came to do an internship and Sal buddied up with him. He wanted him to do voiceovers, and
Howard's nephew came in for this.
Yes, yeah. There's a his nephew's cousin.
It can't be his nephew because he doesn't. His sister, I think, only has girls.
Right. His cousin. It was his cousin.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it was a younger cousin, and Sal wanted him to be part of a bit, and you wanted to use his voice. And Howard's like, "Why would you use him? He doesn't even have a voice for it." He goes, "Oh, he's it's in the blood,
I never heard that. I'll have to listen to that.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you. He says,
if Howard's garbage man was on the show, Sal would sidle up next to him. Hey, look, dude, let's do lunch.
When he asked him, he goes, "What if I told you that he wasn't really my cousin?" He goes, "I will get him out of here."
Oh, unbelievable.
Double A, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going? What's going on?
Right.
What about me? When do I get a key to the apartment? I mean, I got you on my forearm over here.
Sure, you have a tattoo of me.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I would sooner do that. Kevin, you're on the air.
Hey, Howard, what's up?
Hey.
Hey, this guy reminds me of that movie Single White Female. Remember with that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Pretty soon.
Next thing he'll be dressing up like you and walking around.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Like Ralph.
Yeah, and he brings it up. He brings it up, and
yeah.
He mentions that Gary said it, and Gary goes, "No, I didn't." No, Gary did say that at one point beforehand.
Because I only heard this once ages ago, and I don't remember that, so I'll have to.
Gary had.
No, I must admit, Ralph has that syndrome of dressing up and looking like you.
Let me tell you something. Here you are again, trying to analyze who my friends are and why. Ralph is one of my dearest friends.
I'm addressing something.
And
he
the
looks like
fact-
you.
So what?
And Gary said that.
Ralph,
No, I haven't.
You said that, Ralph. One time you said, Ralph, you ever notice
So
that
what?
Ralph has slowly developed into Howard Stern? You said that one time. He was
Listen to
hair
me.
and his...
Listen to me.
No.
I believe that Gary did say that, and they were in conversation.
Yeah.
And it's never been Ralph dresses like Howard. It's the other way around.
It was during the conversation. I forgot if it was they were somewhere, and Ralph was being mistaken for Howard at an event, and Gary had said, that he says Ralph sort of automatically started metamorphose into you, and that's exactly and that's where Sal gets it from.
Well, and but you notice though, Bowie's trying to distance himself from that. Why? Why would he do that unless he thought he was going to get in trouble for saying that?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
Listen to me. What? You're spending too much time thinking about me. You're spending too much time thinking about my friends.
Okay, it's over. It's over.
But it's so not over. That's
No,
the
you
funny thing.
can't stop thinking about it. You're obsessed.
I always
You
listen.
need a psychiatrist. You need a
I can't
very
afford one.
No, you've got to steal to get money for that psychiatrist.
I went to one psychiatrist as a kid and it didn't work.
No kidding.
Oh my God.
How many?
He gave it one shot.
We all thought it worked.
She had me beat up a teddy bear. So
Yeah, well, then start beating up a teddy bear. Leave me out of this.
All right.
Check into a loony bin for the weekend, not my apartment.
Thank you, sir.
I think he's already at the loony bin personally. But the other thing is, Howard does not want anybody getting too close to him to see as I said, we were discussing it a little bit earlier. Anybody gets too close to him and Ralph are going to see exactly what goes on. That's why now, in the case of wherever Ralph is, he doesn't spend any time with Howard. I think Howard just has other people to deal with. Like maybe Wilding fucking sucks his dick. I have no idea, but there was a time there, like I guarantee he wanted to make sure that people didn't see fully what him and Ralph were up to, because they'd talk.
I'm surprised that Stunt Joe hasn't started pulling back the layers, because he got pretty close.
How close?
He was in the Hamptons place. Stutter and John was hanging out in the Hamptons with them at some time, so he was there. He found his way to crack open that shell, and he got in.
But he's also stupid enough to say Howard's not racist and Howard's very intelligent. All the shit. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it depends on what time of day or how many beers he's been in.
If the Budweiser truck hasn't pulled up to the whatever to the whatever. Jesus Christ.
The Pickwick Pug, whatever Pickwick Pug that he's at.
Wherever it is, yeah.
You know where you can sleep tonight? Creedmoor.
Bellevue.
Bellevue. After
That's
your gig.
in Manhattan.
Where is your gig?
L.A.
No, well, tonight. It's a workout show at a comedy club. I don't even want to mention the club's name.
All right.
He's upset.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's just a workout show.
What's a workout show?
It's a guest spot. You write new material and you try it out.
So then if you're not that into it, what are you bothering me about?
I am into it. I'm trying to develop.
Where do you live? Can't you go home? What do you live in, Guam?
Howard, who judges comedians, doesn't know what a workout show could possibly mean.
Oh, because I'm a genius. I'm a genius.
What does the word workout mean, Howard? When you go to the gym and Pat Menachia, who you pay all this kind of money to maintain your girlish figure, what could it possibly mean, fuckhead? Jesus.
No, I live in Long Island.
So then go back to Long Island.
And I'm going to be here late.
But that's not my problem.
And then I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. That's it.
I know it's not your problem. That's why I politely sent you an email if I could stay over.
Sal, I'm punking you. Of course you can use my place. Of course.
Now I don't believe it.
Yeah,
why does he have to stay so fucking late? And like they're there. If he has to be there already at 6 o'clock, because before 6 o'clock he's got to get in, and he's got to stay 16, 17, 18 hours at the job before he can leave. What the fuck? I guess stuff he can't do at home because he doesn't have the gear.
Possibly.
Jesus Christ! And I wonder if he's getting paid for that. Fuck.
Yeah. Because it was saying that his trip would usually, I remember when he would come in with John Hine, it was maybe about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours into the city. So yeah, he would have to kill time, but I think he really, really didn't want to look at any other avenues for him to use. He distinctly said, I can stay with Howard, and he was dead ass serious about it.
Never bring this up again.
I won't.
And never bring up my friends, and don't bring up staying at my place.
I have nothing against your friends. I think Ralph's a good guy. I don't know Dominic
What are you
personally.
doing evaluating?
Dominic, you don't know who my friends are. You don't know anything about my life.
And I didn't say I did, but I'm saying I can't believe that
you said Dominic's at my house, Ralph's at my house.
But I can't believe I'm that far off the mark.
Who's a good guy and who's a bad guy?
But I can't believe I'm that far off the mark from a Dominic or anybody else.
Well,
what separates me from them?
If it makes you feel better, you're not that far off from a Dominic.
Oh, that's
okay.
Awful. That's it.
So you don't know anything about it.
No, but Sal, Howard's friends should be as important to you as Will or Jason's friends are.
Right.
Yeah, you don't wonder who they're hanging out with.
Why are you focused on my friends and not Will and Jason's friends?
Because Will and Jason don't have any, but I don't... No, it's not that I focused on
because I'm famous. You're a star effer. Oh,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Fancy Wiggy calling Sal that after all these years, including those years.
Yeah, fast forward to hanging out with Jennifer Aniston and
standing next to Paul McCartney with a Beatles shirt on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
All right.
Yeah, that's
I don't see as famous. I am taking the initiative to say to you, Howard Stern, you know what?
Stern. All right, get out of here. You're mentally ill. You're mentally ill. Walk out of here, the walk of shame.
You know what? No parent would do that to their child.
Right.
But it's not your father.
And he's not your parent.
Yeah, but
You're
look
looking
at him.
for a father, and I'm not it.
But that's how you look at him. That doesn't mean he has to look back at you the same way.
You never had a son.
What?
I don't have a son.
Yeah, but you have another daughter that's being raised by Beth's brother. So the thing is, I just can't stand the fact that, what he said, oh, okay, you're looking for another father. If everybody knows the story of Sal's dad, you can understand exactly why he'd be looking somewhere else for a father.
Yeah, man. When they talk about staff members who had tough upbringings,
Fred and Sal top the list there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I know Gary had it rough because of his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Robin theoretically because of her father.
I don't. That's
it's bullshit.
I put an asterisk next to that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sal had it tough, and I even remember them saying they saying that Stuttering John had it bad too. Said they had a very abusive father at one time as well.
Yeah, and so all these abused people come working for this one fucking guy who does nothing but abuse them. Talk about flies to a moths to a flame. Yeah, it's nuts. And he brought him in, and I'm sure Sal's come to a reckoning on his dad now that he's way older and he has kids of his own and stuff. And I'm sure Sal's a much better father to his own kids than his dad was to him. But when I heard some of those stories over the years from little bits of audio about Sal's dad and how he was treated, how he acted himself, I was just, God. I've grown up with some people with similarly fucked up childhoods, but that one took the cake.
Just when he says about his thoughts about black people, and I was like, it's not shocking to me because, like you said, I've known and heard people say it like front line,
right?
But it's still like it still goes, ugh, like you can't believe that they were there, and there's still people that's like that.
Well, and it's sad. Like it's sad that has to be a reality. But I mean, fuck it. And maybe, you know what, with Christine, he sort of balanced out a little bit. Maybe she helped smooth over the rough edges because there were plenty to smooth out.
What do you mean when he says I have plenty of black friends? Kevin Lofton is one of my.
Kevin Lofton's a friend of mine. I love that one. He counted his black friends.
I don't look at you as a son. If you were my son, I'd burn you at the stake.
He doesn't want a 50-year-old son.
Yeah,
I'm 35,
I don't want you.
Robin.
I don't want you.
I want a son with makeup for sure,
or big teeth.
I don't need to be his son.
You want
I got a daddy.
like a monkey?
I got a daddy.
Sal.
Yeah, he took off. He took one look at you and ran for the hills.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't want to be.
What happened to your papa?
I understand you need a father, but I ain't it.
I'm not. All right. I just wanted a place to stay. That's all.
That's not true though. But it's not. You didn't want a place
You're looking
to stay.
for a home with your father,
Daddy.
and you need to take those longings.
Okay.
And go see a psychiatrist.
I will.
And put it into that.
All right.
Because you're mentally ill.
I'm sorry.
All right. Now leave. Walk out of here. Shame.
Hi, mommy. Are you proud of me?
He had to give Robin. He definitely at this point, and I think even later on, he hates Robin with a passion.
Oh, definitely. And then with that whole passive aggressive shit that he did to her with the talking about her
TV show. I love that.
And the syrup.
Which was definitely, in my opinion, instigated by Howard.
Oh, definitely. I totally agree.
It's all your fault, Robin.
All right, we're going to take a break. Lewis, thank you.
Can I give it about 10 seconds?
Who are the other people that are consumed with staying at my apartment?
You really ought to give us a list.
I'm putting you in charge of reporting to me.
I'll report to you.
You have a new job. Are people having these conversations with you?
No, you hear things, you know, and I can see it in people's eyes, the way they talk to each other about you.
Wow, there's a whole cult out there.
I need you to write an article for howardstern.com.
Oh, my goodness.
It's strange.
It is a cult.
It is because Jason was on the same trail. Will came in. He was a big fan. He was a caller early on.
Artie, Ralph.
Yeah, Artie, Ralph. The only one who came in cold was John Hine.
Well, what about Jackie? I mean, he put a CV out, but he wasn't necessarily a fan.
Right. But they were early on still. But John Hine was basically he came in,
as a guest.
Yeah, that was it pretty much.
Yeah.
My opinion about you is so different because I never listened to this show before I started working here, but everyone here has been listening to this show forever. And to be here, right, finally in front of you, it's just an incredible thing.
Who else around here concerns you in your comments?
Please, you can tell us anything.
Does his name rhyme with replace? That's got the pace, is it?
No.
I've had DePace to my house.
Yeah, no, he's normal.
DePace I could totally hang out with. He's a nice
good
guy.
But see,
normal.
But Sal would say, why Scott? I get Scott. Scott's a funny guy.
Wait a minute. Don't bring me into this. I've never said
It was a
this
joke.
once.
It was a joke. Nobody's bringing
Take
into
it easy. Go back to
So
your
we'll
little
say,
cave.
Knock it off. But Sal would go, well, why Scott DePace and why not Sal? What does Scott DePace have that Sal doesn't have?
I don't know. I heard some weird stuff about Lewis.
Lewis?
Yeah.
What?
What did you hear about me?
I heard you're getting married next week, and you're trying to keep it on the down low, so I don't give you the lecture.
My goodness.
Why? Because I'm not getting in your face saying, hey, Howard, I'm getting married. I'm getting married next week.
Hey, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you didn't tell us? My goodness.
I told everybody.
Lewis leads
Well, it didn't get here.
Lewis appears to lead a very normal life for this,
he's not a
especially
pain
for this
in the
office.
ass.
Right.
You want to stay at my place tonight?
Lewis might be one of the few people on staff with a brain in his head.
Lewis is one that knows how to stay under the fucking radar and doesn't need to be a whore for this fucking mook. Like
No, he doesn't. And
Yeah,
I would love to tap him for an interview even in 2023 because
Yeah.
he was on the air several times, and infamously for that Gary that great Gary that was
great.
wasn't that the best piece of it's to me it's top 25.
But for me, the reason why it's that good because this was at that precipice where, we always knew Gary to be the bumbling fool, the bumbling producer, the punching bag.
Mm-hmm.
But then once he got a little bit more money, once he got a little bit more contacts,
Bowie Gatsby.
You could sense that the obnoxiousness was coming out, and he was the earliest individuals, him and Richie Wilson, that pointed out how obnoxious Gary had become and self-indulged and very elite, very much of an elitist.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then Gary, one of my favorite parts, Gary going, unlike John, I won't get upset if someone comes in here and that's the first, because he was thrown for a loop. It's with Lewis. And Gary was like, oh, I've got thick, alligator skin. This won't hurt me, or whatever. And he was thrown for a loop. Like, aren't you aware how little self-awareness do you have that you treat, according to Lewis, all these interns like shit?
Well, and the best part about it as well is that the protagonist of it was Stuttering John.
Yeah.
Who, for years, you knew that these two didn't like each other, meaning Gary and John. They didn't.
John, yeah.
They gave that whole facade where it's like, yeah, we're cool, we're friends and such like that. But deep down inside, they would each throw each other under the bus. And that day, Gary was prodding him with that whole notion. And John went into his back pocket and he says, I know somebody who could come out and give it to him right in his face. And sure enough, that came out.
And for that to have happened means Lewis probably mentioned, most certainly mentioned to John, like, you ever noticed this about Gary, that kind of thing. And maybe Lewis wanted John to bring that up.
Yeah.
At some point in the future. I love that clip. That was so good. Bowie goes, I'm sorry, Gary. He goes, don't be, just shut up.
You know what? I am mad.
Yeah, fucking it. And then that was the first thing Howard said. You said you weren't going to get mad.
And when he walked in and he says, did you think it was Lewis? And he says, no. He's just like he was thrown for a loop.
Right. He goes, I don't know who I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting Lewis. And I'm like, well, anyway. But Gary is not self-aware. That's the biggest problem.
Exactly.
One of the biggest problems.
That's all right. I like my
Can he use the place for his honeymoon?
Yeah. You want to use my apartment for your honeymoon?
Yes, that's cool.
Well, congratulations to you.
I didn't know it was that soon. Congratulations.
Please stay at my place.
I'll think about it.
In fact, he'd like to take you and your lovely bride out.
Right. I would, actually.
He's Howard's type. A little swarthy, twinkish.
Twinkish,
Yeah.
Your fiance?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice girl. She likes to dance. He likes to dance. It's a perfect match.
I've never had the opportunity to see them dance. I feel I'm missing
It's really weird. It's like a flamenco.
the tango.
The tango.
It's not a dance you can ignore.
No. They take up the whole floor, those two.
You know what? That's the dance you can't ignore.
Are you going to dance at your wedding?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. That's good.
Yeah, but not with another man, Howard, like you. Every fucking chance you get. Bustada.
What is it? See it. All right, we're going to take a break. Everybody calm down. Thank you, Louis. Congratulations on the marriage. I'm not going to lecture you.
But I wish he'd give us the names of these other people in these.
I have no clue who he's talking about. That's what's so weird.
I think it's all Sal.
I think this issue is far from over.
Yeah, no. This is the beginning.
I worked with somebody once who had a stalker, and that's classic behavior.
Well, you could see that Sal can't let go of it. Right. He has this idea that Howard owes him something now.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a knowledge of a stalker, not necessarily for you, but somebody else that you knew? Most stalker stories I've ever heard involved people who were stalking women, to be honest.
Yeah, that it's
like ex-boyfriends, that kind of shit, really, more than anything.
No, I have a patient who constantly tries to get admitted for one of our nurses. Constantly. It does. I mean, I didn't know about this. How long it stretched. It actually stretched for more than 10 years. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until the nurse told me. She goes, "Yeah, I know him from another hospital, and he finds me. He knows where I'm working."
Christ.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Christ, New York's not a small place.
No, it's not. And in as many hospitals that we have over here, he finds where his nurse is. It's definitely creepy.
I'm just thinking of that fucking intro sequence to The Equalizer, the TV show, where all these guys are popping out of subways and around bends and like telephone booths getting jacked. Fuck, it's just brutal, man.
It wasn't too far from reality back then.
Oof.
Well, you asked for it by becoming famous.
I know.
That was the weirdest thing of the day. You asked for this.
Right. If a shrink made a list of all the things he would say, the characteristics he'd have, he hit every point.
Well, I was saying, when they put that Robert De Niro character together, these are all the things they had him say.
No, it was based on Sal.
Yeah.
It's your fault. You worked for this. That's a.
By the way, here's a tidbit. Louis.
Sal's the king of calamari. Shit.
Invited only one staff member to his wedding. Who do you think it was?
Well, it wasn't Baba Booey.
That's for sure.
No, he doesn't like Baba Booey.
Fred?
Fred.
Ah.
Is that true?
Fred is the only one. I bet you Fred's not going.
No, I'm not going, but I said it.
I knew it.
His gift will be in the mail a year from now.
And I like Fred, but he's so odd. He's just you talk about Wiggy being socially awkward. Fred is just he's odd.
And he always appears. He's at times you don't know if it's arrogance, shyness, a combination of both. Because that's something odd. Like most people would be one or the other. You wouldn't expect someone to be so socially awkward unless they had a conflict within themselves, like wanting to be a certain way, but inherently another way, and just an inability to be the way they want to be. And you see that conflict, and it makes for a very odd demeanor. It makes for an odd personality.
Yeah, and I've often said that with Fred, it's that I guess the upbringing of the background that he had, but also his he's another one. He does not know how to articulate when he's in an argument or in a debate. He's another one that just he missed charm school as well.
Well, yeah, but he first of all, they say he's intelligent. Okay, so he read a couple of volumes of the Funkin' Wagnalls 1977 fucking Loblaws diction, like encyclopedia. Come on, that's our version of Price Chopper up north. And he just painfully awkward. And when they say he's an alien, I know that's the long running joke. I'm sure there's some normal things about him, but I'd say he's just way more comfortable being by himself than with anybody, including his family.
Right. He's a loner kind of guy.
Yeah. Like he'd rather be on a bike riding or somewhere, like, or just, I don't know, going camping even or something and playing music. But again, like he's got the sack to want to start a band and the attempts to get it to happen, but Stuttering John is the one who gets the record deal.
Yeah, and it's actually more. And Fred, from what has been said, was actually more talented. But who knows?
I don't know. I heard King Norris later on when they were on that Volt, whatever that one. What was that? Don't
Fuse?
talk. The fuse. That was awful.
Fuse.
It was like 3 50-year-olds in a garage band.
He should have recorded with Big Orange Marble or the Scoldies.
Yes, by far.
Going, but he's not in.
That's why you invited Fred, because you know he won't come.
Fred doesn't go to anything.
It wasn't before it was King Norris. It was Earth, Wind, and Fuck Off.
Also doing it in a very special place in Philadelphia. It's a long trip.
Right. Why Fred?
You interact with Fred the most.
Yeah. First of all, was this page 69 that you got this from?
No, I heard from other people.
It's Sal typing it in right now.
Let me tell you something. The only difference between Sal
back.
and Jason is that Jason has a way of doing it that is nice for you. He kisses your ass, and Sal does
so
way
Jason's one of the
scares you.
people, huh?
Thank you very much.
Jason is a stalker.
You know what? Ask anybody besides Gary, and they'll tell you the truth.
Oh my goodness.
Where are you coming from? By the way, your buddy Will put that note up, not me.
Okay, so I believe it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
When you hear stories of how Jason and his upbringing and their love for the show, and him once he got in through the door, how he became his way was not as different as not that different than Sal, but except Sal was just aggressive. Mm-hmm. Jason became part of the show and that fabric by doing what got John over, which was the manipulation and the backstabbing storytelling.
Yes. But he worked his way up, like just basically being an intern, and then or I think it was an intern. He was an intern first, like with Will, weren't they both?
Yeah, both. They both came in at the same time, yeah.
Right. So, and he was a fan, yeah, of course. And he was, but apparently responsible enough to do a credible job, enough to get jobs there. Now, mind you, God knows they must have been making like less than KC, who said he was making $25,000 a year. As just flunkies in the office, or just bare like Grillos, like two Grillos in the studio, basically.
Well, but Gary's yes man.
I love this.
Will's a stalker.
It hardly matters which one.
Apparently, the word is that Jason is madly in love with you, but I'm blind to it.
Jason is a guy who, I don't know, does his job. I don't see any weird behavior.
This is like Shakespearean.
I'm a big fan of the show, all right? I've listened to the show my whole life. It means a lot to me, and I work hard. I appreciate being here. I'm not in love with you. I'm not looking, you don't want to stay at your apartment for the night.
Howard, can I tell you the difference?
What the hell?
Because I will tell you, Jason is a huge fan of the show. There's no doubt, right? When you use something that he sent you on the air, it makes him very happy.
Yeah. Right.
But if you don't use something he sent you on the air, he doesn't obsess over it for days and days.
Right.
No, we were just going over.
That's
with
not true, Lewis says.
Go ahead, Lewis. Give me an example.
That's not true.
Give me an example.
Once Howard said to Jason's face on the air, "You're an off-air kind of guy. You don't belong on the air." And Jason was sulking for about a week.
Really?
God forbid I let that comment get me down for 30 seconds. I'm sorry. I got over it. I mean, what the hell, dude? I can't have an emotion for 2 seconds without it letting a.
Not here, you can't.
Jason's obsession with the show is kind of funny. You know, he wouldn't go to college somewhere where he couldn't get the show, where he couldn't pick up, like he wouldn't go to college.
I didn't know it was that bad.
That's brutal.
Let me tell you
easily, at some point you can get someone to send you fucking tapes.
Yeah, listen, that's what Richard did when he went on tour. He had people recording the show for him. That's how he always was able to catch up with them. I'll tell you this. Will has always been my guy. I like Will. He's never been that kind of in that orb. Like he's my kind of dude, the sports guy, gets rowdy, gets drunk, he gets ridiculous, whatever the case may be. But he's also been that guy that, tells it to you straight up. And the same thing that issues he had with Jason, issues that he'll have with Scott the Pace, whatever the case, he was always straight up with people. And I always liked that with Will.
Yeah, I liked Will for certain things. That the story that he fucked around on his fiance with one of the interns is, a little reprehensible behavior. But
that's later on, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he did. I mean, wasn't he the one that came on the air and said you got the mad crush on KC? I love that. And his observations were bang on.
Right.
To the point where Howard had to laugh because he's like, I busted. Busted.
He's like, yeah, you might be right.
He used to get up. Wait. He used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning in high school so that he could listen to the show, like 3 hours before school started.
Get ready for it.
Yeah, like
No. First of all, yes. When I was in high school and they asked me where I wanted to go to college, one of my you have to list the criteria of where you want to go. One of the criteria was it had to be a city that picked up Howard. That's all. I mean, what? That's L.A., San Francisco, D.C. I'm not limiting myself to Omaha. I mean, what the hell?
His father got a good job offer in Texas where they couldn't pick up the show. They had a family meeting to decide whether they would move to Texas, and one of the major issues was whether they would miss you or not.
Oh my God!
There's whole family meeting.
Amarillo is out, Dad.
All right, I got to take a break.
That's brutal.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
closer to Sal level than you think, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think how far I had gone. I used to work for UPS, and UPS is a lockdown facility. You can't bring at that time. I'm not sure how it is now, but you couldn't bring in any electronics in, not a phone, a Walkman, anything like that. So what I would do is I was able to sneak in one of the smallest radio transistors that I can buy with a little headset. And the shift that I would work, my break would be at 5:50 in the morning till 6 o'clock. And at 6, I would immediately rush to my spot, grab my transistor, put it in my ear, and listen to the show. That's probably as far as I went to get the show. I don't remember wondering if my cable provider was going to have Howard TV.
Well, because the other thing is, in whenever Jason went to school, that you would have been looking also like, look, you can also watch the TV show if you can't get, because the TV show was on what, Saturday nights?
The channel 2, the CBS on Saturday nights,
right, and then later on the E show.
The Channel 9 show was on Saturday nights. Then it was the E show, and then the CBS show was on Channel 2 on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, are you afraid?
Yeah. But no, that's very nice.
Whatever.
But he's not bugging me to be in my apartment.
No, that's a line that if you go over that line,
I appreciate Jason loving the show, but he's never been inappropriate.
That's true. No,
he's never been inappropriate with you, but it is a little creepy to make decisions that way.
Yeah, and the other thing is like soft idolation, soft idolatry like Jason's. That's the way Sal should have really gone in to do it, because Jason eventually is it's going to take longer for Jason to get to a point where he can get access. But in the end, look whose wedding Howard attended. Not Will's, not Richard's, not like Mehmet's or anybody else's. He went to Jason's.
Yeah, and Jason actually kissed the right ass to get to where he's at, because he didn't go straight to Howard. He kissed Gary's ass. He was the yes man. He did it the right way.
And I guarantee, and I've said this to Kayla on one episode we recorded, the only reason Howard went to that fucking wedding was because he wanted to see Jason's family dynamic up close and personal. He was fascinated because it was the same. He thought it was the same Jewish mother thing that he had with Ray.
Yes. And he also wanted to see what the hell he spent money on. He had to see what all that money went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Will used to write me letters when he had cancer.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, I mean, everybody was a fan.
He was a boy.
I don't care.
I was a boy too, Robin. He's 16 when you make those decisions.
Oh, God.
In college, you're 18.
All right. I was 7.
He's a clinical psychologist on the air.
Yes.
Yeah,
we
Jim.
need some help.
What's up?
Howard,
Yeah.
you've got a serious problem there. I hope that was an act by Sal.
No.
If it's you're in trouble. I'm telling you, you get somebody to watch your back when you're getting home today, however you get home. You make sure someone checks that apartment before you go in that apartment. Got a problem.
All right, Jim, thank you.
That's no clinical psychologist. Guy sounds like he's busy unloading trucks.
He's calling it from his cab.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck, my man. Love you.
Love you.
Wow.
All right, Jim pointing out Sal's a lunatic. All right, we've just gone through a very emotional...
I know. I'm feeling a little shaky.
No. Yes, Sal. Sal? There's another Sal. Yes, Sal?
Hello?
Yes.
Hey, Howard?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, this is Sal. I'm driving to work, but just listening to the show. Big fan since '85.
Okay.
It's kind of scary. It sounds just like the movie Fatal Attraction, minus the girl.
Right.
Yeah, your girl is, instead of a pretty girl, you got Sal.
I know. Look at my luck.
Yeah,
I would love to be stalked by a beautiful woman. I really, really would.
By the way, I was no more bigger of a fan than Artie was before he started working. I mean, Artie used to camp out at all your appearances.
That's true.
I mean, you know.
I'm not feeling that weird vibe from you.
Good, thank
All right. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after these words.
Sal, what happened?
I don't know. I'm really disappointed. I want to sleep over at the guy's house, watch a little Survivor. What the hell's the big deal? I'm in the city. And he's telling me he wants to burn me at the stake, and I'm not his kid. I just don't get it, so I'm sorry he feels that way. Apparently, this relationship is not going where I thought it would go.
He thinks you're nuts.
He's nuts. He's nuts.
So you don't see anything wrong with what you did?
No, I don't see anything wrong. And I'll tell you one thing, mark my words, down the road, I'll be in that place. I will be.
Sniffing panties and hiding in bathrooms with the best of them. Jesus Christ.
With Sal, there's so much, material that we can go through with him. We get that. With Mutt's daughter, you get the
apology.
The apology, the toast at the party.
I love that one. And then Artie, the fight with Artie.
The fight with Artie, you get the comedy coach. You get so many. There was the instance where they had a stand up they had to go to, and they had to move him from a certain area because of his racist jokes. He was practicing for them next to a black affair. Like there was so much that Sal has to give us.
Guys, we're gonna have to. We're definitely gonna do more Sal stuff in the future, but not right away because we kind of overloaded on Sal a little bit. But he is more interesting than Richard. Like with Richard, it was the family stuff, which I'm not interested in. His makeovers, I don't give a fuck about that. Rocklahoma was funny, but Richard at Rocklahoma was funny. He was with Florentine, I think, for that one. And certain things Richard's good for, but generally in the studio, Sal's the one because he's just a complete lunatic. Yeah. And then when Christine is in there, maybe with Ablo, that'd be funny because I think Ablo was trying to hit on Christine a little bit.
Yeah. There was a little thing going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to hook her into the Nixium cult, most likely. Anyway, guys, we hope you've enjoyed this one. Thank you, my brother, for sticking through this one, and we hope you've enjoyed this. We hope you liked doing this one, covering Sal.
Yeah, like I said, he's such a fascinating individual. I could dissect him like a National Geographic episode.
You got to spit some Sal in a petri dish, looking at like if you're looking through a microscope, it just says "insane" in the petri dish.
I can hear like Sir Richard Attenborough just breaking down a Sal moment in my head.
Fucking unbelievable. Anyway, guys, take care. We love you guys all.
Goodbye, my sweet loves.
Gay boy, rock star, friends with Allison, oxycodone, off context, my child, fruit pill, social worker, CNN. Off context. Press release, Beverly Hills, lunch snack,
I like you a lot.
Black guy at Wendy's.
Going, come on, you're great. This is great.
Linda Perry, Road Songs, Patty and Samantha, Women Give, Jessica Cynthia, I'm happy.
ADT, okay.
ADT.
There he is.
Divine bass player.